You're welcome back to this special Nationwide from Derry, City of Culture 2013. And we're joined now by one of Derry's most famous sons, Northern Ireland Deputy First Minister Martin McGuinness. Martin, this is your town, your home place. How would you describe the character, the essence of Derry and its people?
Well, this is one of Ireland's greatest cities. It's a place of huge history, good and bad. It's a place where I was born. It's a place where, as a result of all of the changes that the peace process has brought all of the citizens of the city together to work for the good of all and to develop the city in a way that I think most people in the aftermath of an important peace process would like to see it develop, i.e. providing economic benefits, cultural activity, all sorts of economic opportunities, job opportunities, particularly for our young people.
Well, from that history of conflict and division, the changes really have been amazing. I mean, to think that Derry is now in the Lonely Planet's top 10 cities to visit, you know, that must be a dream come true.
Yes, it is a dream come true, and it's obviously something that we intend to exploit in the interests of the citizens who live in the city. Absolutely wonderful to have achieved that accolade, and wonderful to know that the world is looking at us during what will be a very important year for the citizens of this city. So I think that the opportunities, you know, are just incalculable for all of us as we move forward in 2013. The opportunity that the accolade of City of Culture presents. I have very fond memories of just a few months ago, whenever the round the world clipper race came into the city. It probably was one of the most happiest and joyous events in this city in half a century, where people had a foretaste of what life can be like if we move forward and work constructively and positively together.
And that was when the clippers came right up the river.
When the clippers came right up the river, people came to the dockside in their tens of thousands, and maybe for the first time appreciated how vital a resource the river actually is. And the river, traditionally throughout the course of Derry's history, has been seen as a river that divides the Catholics from the Protestants in a very simplistic way. But in the way this new Peace Bridge has developed, this Ebrington site which we're now on, the clipper is coming, quite clearly the river is something that can unite us all. Morning, David. You look as if you could do well out of my overcoat.
I think a coat would be a wise thing for me to be wearing, but here, let's go in. Good to see you again.
And I suppose recognising that potential is also hinging on the cross-community relationships. And you do a lot of work, don't you, with the Reverend David Latimer?
Well, David Latimer isn't just a work colleague in terms of bringing the community together. He's also a personal friend. He's someone that I've known now for 5-6 years, and we have a very close friendship. He's someone that I think, you know, is tremendously admired by everybody in the city. I was very delighted to be part of the refurbishment of the church, the First Derry Presbyterian Church, ideally located on Derry City walls. And I think that the contribution, not just that David makes, but all of the citizens of the city, represented by leading lights in the city, whether it be Catholic, Loyalist, Unionist or Nationalist, the fact that we all have the ability to work together, I think speaks volumes for the type of place that Derry is.
What would you say is your favourite part of Derry?
Well, I have many favourite parts. I mean, the river is a fantastic resource. I fished that river for sea trout when I was 8, 9, 10 years of age. I love Derry's walls. People might find that strange, but my mother was a Donegal woman. She came to work in the city when she was 17 in the shirt factories, but she was here, you know, over 60 years, and she was never ever in Derry walls because it was seen as someone else's walls. And shortly before she died, we took her up onto the walls, and it was actually then when she told us, this is the first time I've ever been in Derry's walls in 60 years. So the message is very, very clear. They are our walls also, and I think they are something like the river that can unite us all, and that we've succeeded, and we intend to keep that going.
The work within the community, and most importantly between the communities that the Deputy First Minister was speaking about there, is very well illustrated by the relationship between Martin McGuinness and the Reverend Dr. David Latimer, who's minister here at the First Derry Presbyterian Church. It's just inside the city walls, and I'm going to go and meet him now. Dr. Latimer, you have a very warm and inviting church here, but it wasn't always thus. There was an awful lot of structural reconstruction to be done, wasn't there?
Gosh, this church was anything but pretty prior to 2011. And that's because in 2002, if we look up, one of those big trusses in the ceiling was noticed to be badly bowing, and we couldn't ignore it. So we had it investigated, and we were told that we had a terrible outbreak of dry rot, which created structural damage, and it was so severe that the place was closed down. Derry City Council, aware of just the building and the potential for the built heritage within our city, approached me and said, David, you know, we want to help you. And to cut a long story short, Derry City Council included us underneath the umbrella of their Built Heritage programme, and that opened a door for government funding and allowed the Northern Ireland Tourist Board to give us £1.6 million. I want to tell you about how Derry City Council, a largely nationalist council, looked after a small Presbyterian minority on the walls, and they treated us ever so generously.